Welcome to your most trusted program for all things relating to National Assembly matters, our legislators, and how their decisions affect the regular man on the street, that is you and I. There is a lot to talk about, from defecting lawmakers to complaints of government spending, and of course the snake incident involving, the late Ifunanya, God rest her soul, as well as the Senate moves. Most up on the list is the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Trust that we will do our best to touch all of this. My name is Cynthia Agbo, and this is NASWatch. We'll go on a very short break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. This is NASWatch. Let's start, a review of the week with the conversation of stricter measures when it comes to how we handle emergency situations in our health sector, which of course was a major conversation on Tuesday at the floor of the Senate, where lawmakers did talk about how it was very, very unfair, for a promising young woman to just leave this earth due to medical negligence. I would like to put it that way. Now let's hear, we saw the reports, on Tuesday evening, everyone talking about, good news from the National Assembly but do we need something of such to happen? Do we need a tragedy? Do we need a fatality to happen before our lawmakers know that they have to be in charge and step up to the occasion? Well, it's never too late, like they always say. Let's hear from our senators. So if your senators did not speak on Tuesday, then maybe you need to change your senator. But anyway, let's look at what they had to say regarding to stricter measures in handling medical emergencies.
Speaking based on personal experience I had some years ago of both snake bite and scorpion sting. I think what is needed most at this point is raising the consciousness and creating awareness of these ugly incidents that happen mostly in our rural areas. The prayers of this motion, two of them are very paramount, and I think we have to dwell us mainly on those two prayers, which are prayers 3 and 4. Prayer 3 says, call on state governments through the Ministries of Health and Hospital Management Boards to conduct immediate audits of public and private hospitals within their jurisdictions to ascertain compliance with approved antidote stocking. This is very, very important. Emergency preparedness. Many of these hospitals are not prepared. When this type of emergency arises, they will begin to run helter-skelter, seeking for solution. There is no way to be found.
That the Senate should note that Nigeria continues to record increasing cases of medical emergency, including snake bite, scorpion, sting, poison, drug overdose, and other form of envenomation, all of which require the immediate administration of specific antidotes and emergency medicines in both public and private school hospitals in order to prevent avoidable death and irreversible health complications. Further note that with grave concern, the tragic and avoidable death of Mrs. Ifunanya, who reportedly died following a snake bite in Abuja recently, thereby revealing serious gaps in emergency preparedness and antidote availability within public and private hospitals in Nigeria. Aware that the World Health Organization classifies snake bite envenoming as a neglected tropical disease and underscore the critical importance of timely access to safe and effective antivenoms in public and private hospitals, particularly in countries such as Nigeria, where snake bite incidents remain prevalent. Further aware that Section 17(3) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, mandate the state to ensure the provision of suitable and adequate medical and health facilities for all persons, while Section 14 subsection 2b, affirm that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government obligations, which necessarily extend to regulations, supervision, and standard setting for public and private hospitals. Concern that a significant number of public-private hospitals across Nigeria do not stock essential life-saving antidotes such as antivenoms and antitoxins, or maintain insufficient quantities, leading to dangerous delay in treatment, unnecessary referral, and preventable loss of lives.
Called attention for the provision of adequate medicine for the treatment of snake bites and such other health challenges. Mr. President, for some of us who are from farming communities who are easily exposed to snake bites, I found this motion very, very important because many times victims of a snake bite have to move all the ways from the villages to the state capital before they are able to access treatment. If these drugs are made available to our health centers across the length and breadth of the Federation, such needless journeys seeking medical attention at state capitals wouldn't be necessary.
This motion, persuaded as it were by the bigger lessons. The bigger lesson that underpins the spirit of this motion is that we have to put in place policies about our healthcare system and then drive those policies.
All right, so the lawmakers definitely called for improved budgetary allocation and efficient supply mechanism to ensure public hospitals have the required emergency drugs, and of course there have been a mandate stock up your anti-venom. But the big conversation right now, like, I'm very concerned about this. Is it about improved budgetary allocation? Because I think some weeks ago we talked about the budgetary allocation in this current budget as it relates to health, and I think that it's time for us to start asking necessary questions. All the budgets we've been having for the health sector, what has it been used for? So when you say you're calling for improved budgetary allocation, it now makes more Nigerians are asking the pertinent question, which is, all the allocations we've been having, what has it been used for? But all the same, the House, paid their condolence and gave a 1 minute silence for the late Ifunanya, and God rest her soul. We pray that the family is able to bear the loss this difficult time, and we do hope that more Nigerians will not lose their life to preventable occurrences such as this particular one. We'll go on a very short break, but we'll come back, we'll dive right into some of the major conversation when it comes to National Assembly. Of course, we still have the lingering one, which is the Electoral Amendment Bill, which I know that my guests cannot wait to dive right into it, but don't worry, we're not rushing. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So Nas Watch. Let's now look at some of the bills that were, out there this 2026. And if you look at your screen, you see the images of some bills outlined. Now, new bills that have been uploaded, just for you to know, in case you're trying to track and follow up some of the bills, not the committee, but the new bills now. Now, the new bills, we have Artificial Intelligence Management and Finance Institute. We also have the Federal University of Agriculture and Solid Minerals, Jalingo. This will help you to track some of the bills and ask the pertinent questions. We have the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 96 Amendment, 6 Alteration Bill of 2025. We have the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025, which of course we're talking about today. We have the National Assembly Infrastructure and Property Agency Bill. We also have the National E-Gaming Agency's Establishment Bill, Harmful Waste, Special Criminal Provisions. Check the next slide, you see other bills. The Theophilus Yakubu Danjuma Federal University of Agriculture and Solid Minerals, Jalingo, Taraba. We also have the Federal Vocational and Skills Center, Okurike, Biase, Cross River State. We also have the Fiscal Responsibility Act Amendment Bill 2025, to that Institute of Public Diplomacy and Management of Nigeria as well, Association of Researchers and Inventors of Nigeria Bill. there are so many bills that I'm sure one might want to ask is, okay, what is the essence of these bills? But then again, for your information, that's why we're bringing that to you. Federal University of Entrepreneur and Business Management, Ekuri Ade Kogi State. This is the Settlement Bill of 2025. We also have the Examination Malpractice Repeal Enactment Bill 2025. We also have Federal University of Technology Act Amendment Bill 2025. A whole lot of bills, just in case you want to track the bills, and this would help you. So in case you see your state represented there and you want to ask relevant questions, you want to follow up and see, okay, what is happening. And if you don't see any bill that has to do with your state, maybe your representative is not doing what they're supposed to do. All right, so away from that, let's start talking about who is doing what they're not supposed to do. Okay, should we not? I'm still contemplating. Maybe before the end of the show, I might just chip that in. But let's look at, in terms of defections, let's look at, there's been a conversation about defections as well. So we have a lot of defections in the 10th Senate, 10th National Assembly, rather. And if you look at, we've had about a total of, as of June 2023 and as of June 2026. So if you look at the list, you will see that ADC 2, 1, 80, 111, seat vacant 1. When you look at all the lists, you see the number of defections there, and then this one now belongs to the House of Representatives. This is a total of the number of representatives in the different states. You realize that the APC keeps growing and growing and growing. I think sometime last year I was here on this set and I talked about the fact that there's always this joy at the House anytime somebody is defecting, especially when they're defecting to the APC. You just see how there's this glow on the faces of your representatives, and I'm always wondering, why are they glowing up in the event of a defection? Well, I can't answer that question. Maybe one of these days I would get to ask someone that particular question. I will know why there's a glow on the face when there's a defection. But if you look at, the APC keeps growing, other parties keep reducing, and some might say it's not really a good thing. But well, it is what it is, and everybody wants to move to where they feel the land is greener. Our National Assembly is meant to be void of partisanship. But anyway, that's by the side. Away from that, let's now look at the Senate plenary highlights and, of course, the updates, composition of committees. If you look at your screen, you're going to see that of the House of Reps and also that of the House of Assembly, which now brings us to the core thing we're going to be talking about today, which is, of course, the Electoral Bill. So these committees were actually set up, which is the House of Representatives reviews composition of conference committees on Electoral Bill. And we have members including Right Honorable Ahmed Idris Wasa and Honorable Waji in Nombek, thereby increasing the committee's number from 7 to 9. We also have the list of the representatives right there in that particular committee. You will look at, we have the chairman, Adebayo Balogun. We also have the Honorable Sada Soli member. We also have others. If you look at the Senate as well, they also have a list, which is the Senate passes electoral bill. There's also a committee for that, and you see the members right there. Let's now move on to the very big conversation, which is about the fact that for the first time in many electoral circles, Nigerians were hopeful about the possibility of the 2023 elections being credible. Now, in the lead up to the elections, civic engagement was heightened to the extent rarely seen in the country's fourth republic, especially among youth. While there are no possible factors for these unusual engagements with the electoral process, the introduction of the Electoral Act 2022 was one of the main propellants for the increase in optimism and, of course, credibility ratings of the Independent Electoral Commission. Now, this optimism was mirrored in the over 9-point-something million voters that registered to vote for the first time in the 2023 elections. However, this increase in registration numbers did not result in a seamless electoral experience or an increase in the voter turnout as anticipated by the observers. Now, in comparison to the 2019 election, there was, in fact, a 7% decline in voter turnout in the presidential elections, and the election was still marred by what you might want to call irregularities, result declared by INEC or being contested in court at the time of writing. And against the background of the mismatch between expectations and reality, it is necessary to review the Electoral Act 2022 and its impact on the 2023 elections. Just to let you know that since 2001, when the first Electoral Act was introduced, discussed around the amendment of an existing Electoral Act typically marks the beginning of the high political season in Nigeria. Now, consequently, it became customary for the National Assembly to create new electoral laws or revise existing ones in the lead to the general election, which, of course, 2027 is on the corner. There was, however, a breakaway from this trend before the 2019 elections when President Muhammadu Buhari, late president, declined assent to the bill for amendment 4 times in 2018. Now, the 2023 election cycle, however, saw a return to the trend on electoral legislation. Exactly 1 year, to the scheduled 2023 presidential elections, and after initial assent decline, the president assented to the 2022 Electoral Act, consequently repealing the 2010 Act and its amendment, which of course regulated the past 3 electoral cycles. Now, according to the 2022 Electoral Act, the 1999 Constitution and INEC's own guidelines constituted a legal framework for the conduct of 2023 general elections. Well, having built that background, today we will definitely be looking into the very big issue, as there has been so many diverse opinions. This week was very dramatic, like I told you before. We're looking at Electoral Act, the never-ending cycle, and of course the drama that occurred this week. There were conversations about the fact that, the Senate has passed the 3rd reading of the Electoral Act of 2022, repeal and reenactment, Amendment Bill 2026. Now, the bill introduces several changes to election timeline, technology, and of course, penalties, while retaining certain existing provisions. I would outline all of this, and then I will quickly introduce my guests, and then we dive into the conversation. One of the things we're going to be doing today on the show is for you to gain clarity. It's for you to get a better perspective where we stand in all of this, because there's been a lot of misinformation. Now, some of the things discussed in the changes, we have the electronic transmission results, which of course is a bit of contention. Some people say, oh, the Senate is against the electronic transmission. No, that is not allowed. And of course, the Senate rejected a proposed amendment to make the electronic transmission result mandatory, which is the adopted proposal, the adopted provision. And then we also have the voter identification and accreditation. We also have the revised election timelines. We have the penalties for PVC offenses. And then we have the legal evidence and non-compliance clause that's 142. We have the ballot paper inspection clause 44. So all of these, I think, is at this point, I'd like to introduce my guests. In the studio with me this beautiful evening, I have Dr. Danial Omofoman. He is, I want to say he is the lead person when it comes to African Electoral Integrity Initiative, which you have to know that the African Electoral Integrity Initiative is a non-profit, non-partisan, and non-religious organization dedicated to advancing electoral transparency, credibility, and accountability across the African continent. So isn't it a very good spot to talk about this? It's so great to have you on the show this evening.
Thank you.
All right, let's dive right into it. The first time you saw the news, breaking, the Senate has rejected, the transmission of elections electronically. That was the headline.
Yeah.
What was the first that came to your mind? Like, what is happening here?
The first time, good evening, everyone. The first time is misinformation. That was the first thing that came into my mind, because I know, of course, the subject, transmission, transfer, electronic, it's already been a long subject. It's been discussing this over the years, and it's been captured already in the Act. So when I saw that breaking news, I knew there was going to be hit. And of course, you agree with me, the week long, it's been very hitful. And I'm sure it's going down, and very soon we'll get it clear. We'll need to get it clear. We need to make Nigerians understand what exactly the Act entails, the existing Act, and of course the amendments.
Okay, so I was talking to you earlier, and there were some areas you were trying to break down. One of the things that Nigerians have always expected is to be able to follow the result on time, see how everything is going. And we believe that the electronic process will make everything seamless. Do you think that there is anything that is going to hinder that process right now?
Yeah, of course. Election is about the people, technology, and the processes.
Absolutely.
And of course, the people have shown compliance, they've shown patriotism by coming out to register, which is of course digitalized. And now the technology itself, it's homegrown. I mean, INEC has been able to put the right systems in place over the years. But of course, the process and the procedures is where we're having issues now, applying the technology and ensuring that it works perfectly. The current Act 2022 confirms use the word transfer. Right. And that terminology, it's referred to two procedures, which is physical delivery and direct transmission. So you see, it's English that's the issue here, right? Because of course, the current process is that after the balloting, the tabulation is done, accreditation is done, the BVAS is used to transfer. So you understand? So it's existing already. So it's not like it's not there. So what I think we should be worried about is the collation. That's where the manual process is. That's where the challenge is. Not the transferring the result from the PU to the collation center.
So are you saying that Nigerians are having a misplaced priority?
Not really, misunderstanding. So I think INEC and the civil society organizations need to come together to do more advocacy. We need to educate Nigerians to understand the depth, the end-to-end process, because we're seeing the process just from the general view of transfer, transmit, right? We're not transferring money from our bank account. Right. So what I expect the commission to do, INEC, and of course the assembly, is to bring out this whole process in the layman's, the most simple language, even if you have to explain it to Nigerians in the 3 major tribes or the 250 languages, so that we understand that this is an existing process. It's not new. Right. So, but where the challenge is, where Nigerians are finding it difficult, is understanding the end-to-end. It's not just starting. So how's the ending? If you're transferring or transmitting results using the RF or the BVAS to the collation center, so how's it coming in? What format is it coming in there? Results is sent or either scanned and uploaded. So right, and it gets to the end point, it might be delayed, network connectivity issue and all that. So there's a lot of advocacy work that needs to be done to, first of all, douse the tension. And of course, the Senate, the National Assembly, the conference, they are having their conference anytime soon. So let's see the harmonization and see what the final outcome will be. Then we can further explain to Nigerians how best this system works. It's systems. Okay,
yeah, it's systems. Systems are very, very important. There were prior to when the news broke out, right? There were speculations that the National Assembly is simply just stalling. They don't want us to use they don't want the amendment to take effect in the 2027 general elections. So they want to stall the process, or they want to create loopholes and see how this amendment is not going to show in the next election. But however, before the end of that, I think it was the next day, boom, we saw that
it was passed.
There was a third reading and there were conversations. But however, there was a press briefing where some of the senators did have a press conference, with media people, and talked about some of the broad lines, which I would want you to share your thoughts. So let's look at that report on the electoral reforms.
The Minority Caucus addressed journalists on Thursday following public concern that the National Assembly had rolled back reforms on electronic transmission of results. Senator Naya Abaribe of Abia South, speaking on behalf of opposition lawmakers, said the Senate never voted against technology in elections. Rather, it refined the language of the bill to avoid legal confusion. According to him, the 2022 Act used the term transfer of results, which he described as vague. The new wording, he said, makes electronic transmission clearer and more legally defensible.
We felt, those of us who are still around, that it would be necessary to make a clarification of what happened yesterday, to put the records straight. Yesterday, the Senate did not, I repeat, did not pass transfer of results, which was in the 2022 Act. What we passed, and which the Senate President himself, when he was doing a clarification sitting on his chair, is transmission of results. And I need to make this very clear. Every one of us who is a senator, who has the privilege to represent a senatorial district, came here under the trust of their senatorial zone.
Senator Abaribe also revealed that the Senate has constituted an ad hoc committee to review the electoral reform report before further deliberations in a closed executive session. He explained that the harmonization process with the House of Representatives is yet to begin because the Senate must first formally adopt its votes and proceedings.
The harmonization committee was set up also yesterday because when the House version and the Senate version differ, because there were so many other things, including timelines, that now differ. You set up a harmonization. Those harmonization is what you use to make sure that you come to one single document which the president will now sign. So that is where we are at the moment. But I need to add one further thing, so that Nigerians can rest assured. After our session, plenary session yesterday, we adjourned, but did not come back to pass the votes and proceedings. And that is our rule, and you all who are here, you know it. The Harmonization Committee cannot meet because the document that we use to go to the harmonization is the document passed by us and ratified by the votes and proceedings.
As both chambers move toward final agreement on the Electoral Amendment Bill, attention now shifts to how quickly lawmakers can reconcile their positions and deliver a legal framework that shapes the 2027 elections.
Okay. Dr. Dan, you saw that, and throughout that report, you kept nodding your head. And the last part of what our reporter just said, we are looking forward to how fast they can harmonize. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at the time frame here, we're looking at, it's okay, notice of election, reduced from 360 days to 180 days before the election date, a whole lot of things. Time is running out.
Yeah.
So does it still bring us back to when I said some faction believe that they are stalling?
Yes, as a matter of fact, everything is time. Time is essential. Time is important. And as a country and as the assembly needs to consider timing in their dealings, I think they have too much time on their side. But the entire electoral planning process for INEC and for Nigerians, there's not much time. So over time, it's seen as they are stalling. But now they are on the subject, so there's much pressure now. So I believe they are consulting we had and to see that they're able to meet up with the timing. Yeah, but from the report, you can see that it's a challenge in language, because the Electoral Act 2022 uses the term transfer. in relation to election results to refer to two procedures: physical delivery and direct transmission. So the transfer transmission issue, it's just it's a matter of understanding, because currently the beavers transmit the accredited voter data from the polling unit to the collation center and the INEC servers. So the word transfer and transmission exists already. What I think what we should look at is bringing it out. Are we transferring a collated result or transmitting a collated result? That should be the question. Because if you're saying transmission of result, is it the result sheet or the collated results? That should be the question. And I believe INEC, from what I've seen they have done over the years, they have all these tools. They have all these tools. These things are not rocket science. INEC have what it takes to put these whole platforms together to see that they're able to achieve it. But it's just the will. And that's why we're struggling, the political will. So I want to encourage and call on the assembly to do things fast, because Nigerians are eager. Imagine a country of over 200 million people. You have registered about 90 million, and the winner in the previous election, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, only 8 million. That's not even supposed to be 10% of the number of registered voters. So if this is not handled properly, I can assure you it's still going to drop the voter apathy, increase voter apathy, and drop the turnout, and that is not good for our democracy.
Okay, now I do have a couple of questions, but we're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, I still have some more questions for Dr. Dan. Don't go anywhere. It's Nas Watch.
Thank you.
All right, it's Nas Watch. My name is Cynthia. We're right here on Rapid TV. Hope you have been following the conversation, breaking down the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, the best possible way that a layman, the man on the streets can be able to understand amid the uproar and the feeling of, oh, the National Assembly is sitting on, like how we put it in our local palace, our progress. And the elections are fast approaching. 2027 is coming very soon, and I'm very, very concerned. Are Nigerians asking the relevant questions when it comes to this particular amendment? Are we asking the relevant question? Which now brings me to a couple of years back. I was talking to somebody, Dr. Dan, and someone said, before I let you, share some of the questions that we think that Nigerians should be asking, I was having a conversation with someone, at the National Assembly some days ago. I think it was on Tuesday thereabout, and I was refreshed on the aspect of, could it be that our lawmakers are being very, very careful when it comes to amending certain things in the Electoral Act? Remembering, maybe it could just be a traumatic experience because of how it happened in 2022, where many of them lost certain things. They probably did not understand what they were accepting. They probably did not understand what they were tampering into. And so they're trying to be careful not to make similar mistakes. Could this be an issue of, okay, I want to also protect myself while also pleasing Nigerians?
Yeah, I think it's an issue of personal interest. I'll put that first, because majority of them are not concerned. I'm sorry to say.
Some could even return.
Yeah, they are not concerned about the integrity of the process that even brings them into governance. Right. So for the fact that they're not accepting technology wholly, right, seeing it as a tool, a team that can help sustain democracy, because the process of the election determines what the outcome of governance.
Absolutely.
If the process is faulty and lacks integrity, then don't expect much in terms of governance. So I think for me, I would want to recommend and advise the assembly to put democracy first, right? Because if you're popular and you're doing well, your people want you, I don't think technology can stop you from emerging, right? Technology will enable you even emerge better, right? A lot of people, they use tools. They have phones, they have other technological gadgets they use, and they're not scared of it. So why being scared of electoral procedures that are technology related?
Possibly, maybe they have a mandate to return someone, and they just want to be careful that that process does not mar the ability to return return that particular figure.
So then again, that's why they have to put governance first. After politics, you keep politics aside, you bring governance forward. If you're performing, I don't think you need to be scared of technology. You only need to mobilize your people, ensure that they turn out to vote. And for us, civil society, what we're trying to do is to ensure that the turnout is huge. Because if the turnout is huge, I don't think all this whole technology, you see it clearly at the polling unit, you see who's winning. So where I want Nigeria to focus more on is the coalition.
Okay.
Because it's the manual. Right. The registration, the voter registration is digitalized. The voter accreditation digitalized. The voting, of course, is still manual. We're still doing the manual balloting. We're not there yet using electronic balloting.
Yes.
And I think that will even solve the problem. But with what is on ground, what we are seeing today, the resistance, I doubt if we'll be able to adopt electronic voting anytime soon.
I mean, why wouldn't we?
Because
why
that
shouldn't
is the
we?
future. That solves the problem. Because if we have electronic voting systems in place, it collects. If I'm interpreting here from this studio, it's showing in the National Coalition Center. So it's coming in electronically. But of course, technology again has its own issues, right? You have to go through rigorous testing. There must be redundancy to ensure that you don't overstretch what is expected. And most times, if we don't have the right technological infrastructure in place, then there are bound to be issues. That's what they are actually worried about. The integrity of INEC systems, the integrity of INEC technological infrastructure. If that is put in place and well promoted, I mean, INEC could do the right thing from their own end, I don't think the assembly or politicians will be worried about adopting technological procedures.
Okay, I know you tried delving into that, but we're looking, it's a matter of, okay, Nigerians are getting overwhelmed and in the minor things. What are the things you think that Nigerians should be focusing on? What are the things that the major questions that Nigerians should be asking the assembly as it relates to the Electoral Act? What are the major questions? Let's look at like 5 major questions that Nigerians should be asking.
I think the first question should be honesty and sincerity of purpose. They have to put their own integrity as NAS. What is the integrity of the 10th Assembly? Right. The integrity of the presiding officers. We have to put that to check. That should be the first question. Then the second question is, why are they finding it difficult to accept technology? Right, but I don't put much on them, so I probably might not have 5 questions. But I want to put much on INEC.
Okay.
Because yes, INEC is supposed to prove to Nigerians that they can be trusted. This means, of course, they put the right technological infrastructure in place with integrity. Right. You can agree with me now currently, what is the status of the voters register? Yes, those are the questions we should be asking, because if the election management body is up with its game, I don't think the assembly will be able to, because some of these things are captured already. If the register is not comprehensive enough, then there are bound to be issues. So for me, the Nigerians, I think they should keep the cool, and let's see how we can get INEC to ensure that they get their PVCs, register and get their PVCs.
Okay, the conversation is so on, most definitely. It's not ending this week. Let's see how next week plays out in the conversation of, okay, they still have to meet, they still have to, set things in motion, they still have to, harmonize their responses as regard to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Let's see how everything plays out, and most definitely I will be here next Friday to keep you up to speed, and of course have a great, possibly we might just have a guest from National Assembly who would help us, give their own perspective. Now, from the angle of a civil society organization, you have shared your thought. Thank you so much, Dr. Dan, for coming on board. And I'm sure that our viewers have been able to, you've broken down everything to the ground level, and I'm definitely sure they've been able to understand it. And that's the much we can take on Let's Watch this beautiful evening. Thank you so much for staying with us. Don't forget that this conversation, we'll have a repeat of it on Sunday, same time at 7 p.m. And of course, it's also going to be on our social media platform, talking about on YouTube, so you can also go watch it on YouTube. My name is Cynthia Agbo. I will see you next Friday. Rapid TV is here for you, and the news comes up at 8 o'clock.